commercially, we're the largest in the whole hemisphere. We have 1,500 employees in the U.S. We have 2 facilities, one in Jacksonville and one in Winston-Salem,
which do the same kind of work.
the same kind of work. And then we have one in Querétaro, Mexico, that we don't own, but we manage. That's owned by Delta.
So it's their company facility and you operate.
We operate. We have a long-term lease on it. Pero we spend a lot of money training open schools.
It's the same goal we have domestically in the U.S. is to train people for skills like this that are good paying jobs.
And then the important thing is that they receive their own license.
Right.
So they have something sort of that was being supported and checked.
But this is the sort of jobs we need in order to prevent migration. Because these kids here, when they start here, they're making almost 3 times more. And we train them throughout their careers so that they can keep on progressing and increasing.
Yeah, and then you have a career, just like a mechanic, then supervisor, manager, and then you can go planning, quality control, quality assurance. So you have different options. It's not like you are going to be a mechanic and work on that. You have different options, even in your career. So
that's how you build a middle class.
Yeah. We've been at it for a while. From hell or high water, even during the governments of the FMLN, which wanted to destroy us, we kept on investing in it.
What about during the pandemic?
We were able to stay open. President Bukele had a very good view, and he understood that if we shut down, these customers would never come back. So he left us open, and we took huge efforts on the protocol.
We have here ellos le van a explicar un poco algunos detalles.
Ellos son dos técnicos de mantenimiento, los dos son de sistema aviónica, soy de operaciones, gerente de operaciones, y me van a encargar de explicarle un poco de lo que estaban haciendo ahorita en el motor.
Okay, yo ando haciendo una.
máquina es que tiene 5 ejes de movimiento. Se pueden hacer piezas bien complicadas. Además del tamaño de la máquina. Como esta máquina solo hay 2 en Latinoamérica. Cada vez tenemos piezas más grandes, aviones más grandes, pero tenemos piezas más largas. Entonces, esto nos ayuda a que cuando un avión viene de mantenimiento y encuentra una parte dañada, va a tardar 90 días en venir, por ejemplo. Porque vienen de Europa o vienen de Estados Unidos.
La parte que tiene que cambiar, pero aquí lo pueden fabricar.
Aquí lo podemos fabricar porque tenemos los dibujos, los permisos, la FAA. Podemos fabricar, darle positivo, y luego trabajamos.
Okay, so where do you want us to set up?
Right where I'm sitting.
All right.
Right on the top. I'm right where
I'm gonna do it below because he's too soft spoken.
right on the right. Yeah. Let's let CBS get their set up and then we'll kind of go to the side. And the giant lamination that we're going. Guys, I'm gonna have you back up. I can't hear it. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna have writers back up behind audio and video, please. So what we cannot do is get in front of that cam. So Eric, I'm gonna have you come on this side.
Okay, let's try to get closer for the audio.
Yeah, that's fine, but you cannot go past the line of the camera. So if I can have all the writers move back to the wall there, just slide back a bit. Okay, are we good? Yeah. Sean, you're prepared to record audio? Yeah. Is this in your shot?
Okay. I'll do it in English and in Spanish. I mean, I mean, first of all, it's great to visit here. This is, 25% of our capacity to fix airplanes in the Western Hemisphere. You're standing in the place that does it. And this is the kind of development that you need, not just to prevent migration, but to build a middle class in countries around the world, all driven by the private sector. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to come here. Very friendly investment climate. President Bukele, who I've known for a long time, has done an excellent job of providing security and stability. This would not be possible without that. And has invited not just the existence of these companies, which have been here for a long time, but its growth, its expansion. And if you look at the jobs, these are the kinds of jobs we want to be creating in the United States as well. These are great, good-paying jobs, skills, and it's the kind of thing that you hope to see more of, but all over the hemisphere. So it's just a great, impressive place to visit. Es impresionante estar aquí hoy. Este es un sitio que el 25% de la capacidad de arreglo de aviones existe aquí en el hemisferio. Y si uno ve los trabajos que existen aquí, que son trabajos, que estos son el tipo de trabajo y el tipo de industria que crea una clase media en un país. Y por eso queríamos venir, sobre todos los otros temas que trabajamos. El presidente Bukele y su gobierno ha creado un clima de seguridad y un clima de estabilidad que ha no solamente permitido, sino ha invitado a la inversión privada, que ha hecho posible no solamente que esta compañía sobreviva años donde era más difícil, pero ha expandido y tiene planes de seguir expandiendo. Y eso es el tipo de cosas que ayuda a crear estabilidad, no simplemente prevenir la inmigración masiva e ilegal que le hace daño a un país, sino también ayuda a un país prosperar y mantener a sus jóvenes, ¿no? Como hemos visto aquí en el día de hoy. I'll take a couple of questions because we're off schedule already. But.
Tell us about USAID. What's happening at USAID and how the affects the trip?
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct the sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars. And we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest. And so far, a lot of the people that work at USAID have just simply refused to cooperate.
Are you currently in charge of USAID? Or are you
I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And again, our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest. But if you go to mission after mission and embassy after embassy around the world, you will often find that in many cases, USAID is involved in programs that run counter to what we're trying to do in our national strategy with that country or with that region. That cannot continue. USAID is not an independent, non-governmental entity. It is an entity that spends taxpayer dollars, and it needs to spend it, as the statute says, in alignment with the policy directives that they get from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, and the President. And it's been 20 or 30 years where people have tried to reform it, and it refuses to reform. It refuses to cooperate. When we were in Congress, we couldn't even get answers to basic questions about programs. That will not continue. That's not going to continue.
Elon Musk is public spiritual. Do you believe that?
I've articulated to you my challenges with it, and they go back to my time in Congress. Okay, we would ask them questions. Who does this program fund? Who gets the money? We won't tell you. We don't need to tell you. We're apolitical. Well, American foreign policy isn't apolitical. American foreign policy is to further the interest of the United States. If someone wants to spend apolitical dollars, they should spend private dollars, go start a charity, and you can fund anyone you want. But if you're going to spend taxpayer money, then you need to spend it in furtherance of the national interest of the United States. That's exactly what I said at my confirmation hearing. And this is not my frustration. This frustration has existed now for almost a quarter century. multiple administrations that have gone through this challenge. It's going to stop and it's going to end.
Can you tell us a little bit about the canal conversation you had with the Panamanian president yesterday?
Well, we had a frank conversation.
Right.
What I expressed to President Molina, who, look, he's a friend of America. He is. He's a friend of America. Panama is a strong partner and ally of the United States. As the president has articulated, when we turned over the canal, we turned it over to Panama. We didn't turn it over to China. So you get there, and the Chinese control both entries to the port. Both entries to the port. We have a treaty obligation to protect the canal if it comes under attack, but our Navy is paying fees to go through there. So I express frustration about those things, and again, I understand it's a delicate issue in Panama. We don't want to have a hostile or negative relationship with Panama. I don't believe we do. But we had a frank and respectful conversation, and I hope it'll yield fruits and results in the days to come.
But are you pleased or at least encouraged with his response about looking into this and
Well,
especially
he's made some announcements about the Belt and Road Initiative, which is good. I mean, they're the first country in Western Latin America to end their relationship with Belt and Road. We do a lot of other things with Panama that go beyond just the canal. I mean, they've been a great partner on the slowing down the rate of migration on the Darien and the coming across the Darien Gap and the like. So I think it was a good visit. Obviously, there's still more work to be done there, but I think it was a very good visit, and it was a worthwhile visit and a very respectful, and it was one that I think is going to achieve potentially really good things that assuage concerns we have. But time will tell. We'll see. But I felt good about it.
What's your role on Mexico? Deal with Mexico to pause? If you talk about
well, they're going to send 10,000. Yeah, they're going to send 10,000 border agents. The president's expressed his frustration with the flow of fentanyl and illegal migration. So that's a good step. So the president, I think, has extended it by another month. And I wasn't on the call, but my understanding it was a good call with President Sheinbaum. And we want to have a good partnership with Mexico. They'll always be our neighbor. And so it's a country that we do a lot of things with, but we have legitimate concerns about not just the existing, but the rapidly growing presence of dangerous cartels, who in some cases operate as governments in parts of Mexico. It's a huge challenge to the sovereignty of the Mexican state. And so we seek to be good partners in that regard. I think deploying 10,000 National Guardsmen on the Mexican side from Mexican National Guardsmen is a very good sign. I'm not sure it resolves all the issues that were raised, because beyond that, there's some trade imbalance issues the president wants to address. Obviously you saw the result of that.
Will you travel to Mexico?
Will I travel to Mexico? I'm sure I will, but we're not planning to as part of this trip. Obviously, things can change on any moment, but right now I've been in touch with our foreign minister. We have started a pretty good relationship, and I'm sure we'll be talking or seeing them very soon, but it won't be, as of this moment, there's no plans for this trip. And I know some of you that are traveling with us want to know the answer, but we don't have any plans at this moment.
A lot of the money that USAID spends that's criticized as being charitable, I think you used that word, or welfare for poor countries. Defenders of USAID and some members of Congress say that's in America's national interest, that it promotes stability or buys America goodwill overseas. So, I mean, what's your reaction to that? Do you think USAID does a lot of that work, but you have issues with some of the specific spending?
Well, my issue, as I said, is there are things that we do through USAID that we should continue to do, and we will continue to do. But everything they do has to be in alignment with the national interest in the foreign policy of the United States. And the attitude that USAID has adopted over the years is, no, we are independent of the national interest. We fund programs irrespective of whether it's aligned or not aligned with the foreign policy. That's ridiculous. These are taxpayer dollars. Every penny that we spend in foreign aid needs to be in furtherance and aligned with the national interest in the foreign policy of the United States. So this is not about ending the programs that USAID does per se. There are things that it does that are good, and there are things that it does that we have strong questions about. It's about the way it operates as an entity. And they're supposed to take direction from the State Department, policy direction. They do not. Not only do not take policy direction, they're completely uncooperative. When you ask questions, when you try to go in and find out, okay, what does this program do? Who's getting the money? Why was this funded? Why are we doing this? Why aren't you coordinating with the embassy or the State Department? Their attitude is, we don't have to answer to you because we are independent. We answer to no one. Well, that's not true, and that will no longer be the case.
And to who have you delegated the authority to?
Thank you, press.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Didn't expect that.
Depende del sol, pero va de 10 días a 80 días.
Tienen contratos del gobierno también para los aviones de los fleets. ¿Dónde cree que el gobierno hace? Tienen que tener un contrato con él.
El gobierno mexicano lo hace todo en Salvador. Y de ahí los mexicanos lo hacen en México, los argentinos lo hacen en México. Pero commercially, we're the largest in the whole hemisphere. We have 1,500 employees in the U.S. We have 2 facilities, one in Jacksonville and one in Winston-Salem,
Which do the same kind of work.
the same kind of work. And then we have one in Querétaro, Mexico, that we don't own, but we manage. That's owned by Delta.
So it's their company facility and you operate.
We operate. We have a long-term lease on it. Pero we spend a lot of money training all these kids.
It's the same goal we have domestically in the U.S. is to train people for skills like this that are good paying jobs.
And then the important thing is that they receive their own license.
Right.
So they have something sort of that for them.
But this is the sort of jobs we need in order to prevent migration. Because these kids here, when they start here, they're making almost 3 times more. And we train them throughout their careers so that they can keep on progressing and increasing their income.
Yeah, and then you have a career, just like a mechanic, then supervisor, manager, and then you can go planning, quality control, quality assurance. So you have different options. It's not like you are going to be a mechanic. You have different options, even in your career. So
That's how you build a middle class.
We've been at it for a while. Come hell or high water, even during the governments of the FMLN, which wanted to destroy it. We kept on investing in water.
What about during the pandemic?
We were able to stay open. President Bukele had a very good view, and he understood that if we shut down, these customers would never come back. So he left us open, and we took huge efforts on the protocol.
Let me introduce you. We have here mucho gusto. Ellos le van a explicar un poco algunos detalles.
Ellos son dos técnicos de mantenimiento, los dos son de sistema aviónica. Soy de operaciones, gerente de operaciones, y van a encargar de explicarle un poco de lo que estaban haciendo ahorita en el motor.
Okay, yo ando haciendo una.
Did you hear it?
And folks, now that we're in this portion of the building, anything is available to be filled. film, so there are no airline logos on display. So.
I just got, I don't know by that, I've got two people saying I'm taking notes, so we're probably too far to the facility to really have to. See, Steve, when we were standing outside, we had great people. So I think it's.
Commercially, we're the largest in the whole hemisphere. We have 1,500 employees in the U.S. We have two facilities, one in Jacksonville, and one in Winston-Salem.
Which do the same crew you operate?
We operate. We have a long-term lease on it. Pero we spend a lot of money training all these kids.
License. So they have something supportive that was
But this is the sort of jobs we need in order to prevent migration. Because these kids here, when they start here, they're making almost 3 times.
go planning, quality control, quality assurance. So you have different options. You go planning, quality control, quality assurance. So you have different options. It's not like you are going to be mechanical. You have different options, even in engineering. So
That's how you build the middle class. What about during the pandemic?
We were able to stay open.
we stay up.
President Bukele had a very good view, and he understood that if we shut down these customers would never come back. So he left us open, and
Ellos le van a explicar un poco algunos detalles.
Ellos son dos técnicos de mantenimiento, los dos son de sistema aviónica. Soy de operaciones, gerente de operaciones.
And folks, now that we're in this portion of the building, anything is available to be filmed. So there are no airline logos. Function of the building, anything is available to be filmed. So there are no airline logos on display. So.